210, 220, 280, 290, 300, 310.45.
Yeah, Big Red.
From Parker.
Yes, Big Red. Someone bad happened to Parker Schnabel, and now his life is in danger. This includes his brave journey through the gold mines, and the shocking accident that changed everything. Mark Parker Schnabel. Just hearing the name makes me think of grit, toughness, and pure drive. During the gold rush, he was known for being very determined, even though he was in a lot of danger. Things are different this time though. After a scary accident on the job, his life is in danger. When everything went bad, today was meant to be more digging, and a new chance to find gold. Parker, on the other hand, woke up in a bad dream. That wasn't about gold, money, or getting ahead. It was about getting through. The brave gold miner wasn't just fighting to make money for the first time. He was in danger of dying. What went wrong then? How did a miner with a lot of experience get into such a bad spot? What's more, will he ever be the same? A dangerous past. You need to know where Parker came from in order to understand how he got here. There was no doubt that Parker Schnabel would become a miner after being born in the rough desert of Haines, Alaska. As a child, his grandpa, John Schnabel, who worked as a gold miner for many years and had deep roots in the Big Nugget mine, gave him ideas. Parker was getting ready for one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, while most kids were playing computer games. His first job as a leader was when he was 16, of their new young boss. Yes. You can drive the truck and the digger, Gary. That seems like a no. He wanted to show the world that he wasn't just a kid who liked to play with heavy machines, but the recent accident has made him face the harsh truth. Not matter how much experience you have, gold digging is a dangerous business, where anything can happen at any time. His rise to fame on Gold Rush. On Gold Rush, viewers saw Parker change from a determined teen to a recognized veteran. His goals got bigger, his chances got bigger, and his focus got sharper with each season. Fans admired his determination to keep going, even when things got hard, like bad weather, or losing a loved one. He became famous for how tough he was, but this season, the risks were even higher. What's at stake? Death and life. Think about this. A young man who was ready to go all the way for the thrill of gold. Parker wasn't just looking to make money, he was also looking to leave a memory. People who work in gold digging, on the other hand, are never more than one bad day away from disaster. The event that made everything different. Parker took his goal to a whole new level this season, where he had to deal with tougher competition and the wild, dangerous terrain of a new mine site. But having goals costs money. The land was far away, the scenery was tough, and the weather was harsh. Parker fought nature every day because he was determined to get what was below. Then it took place. A terrible failure that shook his team to their core and put Parker in a fight for his life. The ground they were working on was not stable because of heavy rain. For a short time, everything was fine. The next thing they knew, a huge piece of land gave way, trapping Parker and several crew members in a dangerous and chaotic scenario. Close call with death for Parker. Parker was stuck and couldn't move while everything around him broke down. His car flipped over and was partly buried by the wreckage. It looked like this might be the end for a moment. The air was full of dust, and the crew was scared as they rushed to free Parker and the others. But the fall set off a time bomb that was about to go off. Any mistake could cause more floods to happen. They had to act quickly to keep their boss safe. The effort to save, rescue attempts started right away, but because the ground was unstable, every second was very important. Parker and his team were trapped in the wreckage for hours, and no one knew what would happen to them. They had to weigh the risk of making things worse against their desire to save lives. Every second seemed like it would never end. The leader of the group, who had always seemed untouchable, was now barely alive. A miracle stay alive. After what seemed like a long time, they finally got to him. Even though Parker Schnabel lived, he was hurt. It didn't bother him that he had broken ribs and a headache. This whole thing had really shook him up. It was clear that the accident had hurt him in more ways than one. As they pulled him from the Parker had seen that he was going to die, even though he had always seemed unbeatable. Parker thought about his decisions a lot in the days that followed. He thought about whether the risks were worth it for the first time. Gold mining had always been his life's work, and love. However, this event made him face the truth about his way of life. A tough season wasn't the only thing Parker had to deal with. He also had to face a hard truth about what he was willing to give up. Even though his wounds would heal, the emotional scars would stay with him for a long time. Parker said, "I've been in danger before, but this was different. It was life or death." The event was a wake-up call for someone who took pride in his hard work and toughness. He was different after the accident. Even though he still wants to find gold, he is beginning to understand that some chances may not be worth the trouble. Parker's long journey to get better. Parker was quickly taken to the closest hospital, after being saved, where doctors treated his broken ribs and shock. His body would heal, but his mind was in a place it had never been before. For a man whose whole career had been about taking risks, this close call made him slow down and think about what his drive had cost him. Parker had to face a truth he had been avoiding for too long. While he was lying in that hospital bed, nobody can do everything they want to do, and this time, pushing himself too far almost killed him. Parker had only one goal for years: to get as much gold as possible, but the collapse showed him how harsh the world could be. This wasn't just another problem to solve, it woke me up. Parker knew that he and his team had been working too hard. He said, "I've always been about getting things done," but now for the first time, he could see the risks he had deliberately taken. It wasn't just about finding gold when people mined, it was about finding the right mix between that desire and safety, which he realized he hadn't always done. What it means to be responsible. Parker felt the weight of his duty hit him hard. It wasn't just about him. His crew depended on him to make a living, and seeing the fear in their eyes as the building fell changed him. He said with a soft voice, "These guys are like family to me." It hurt a lot to know that I might have lost them. This event brought a hard truth to light. His deeds changed not only his own life, but also the lives of people who trusted him. He knew he couldn't keep pushing everyone to the edge without thinking about what might happen. We should be able to get more lengths from this wash plant, because it has a wider sluice run. This will help us get through all of our work at Dominion and the Money Pit. We'll take a chance on something that hasn't been used much this season, but we'll do it anyway. Parker was ready for a change, and began to understand that success wasn't just about how much gold he got, but also about how he got there. He agreed, "I need to be more careful. I can't keep giving my crew and I too much to handle." Spencer didn't see this as a loss. It taught me something. His dreams were still possible, but he had to be better and more careful about how he went about it. He had a new point of view after this accident that he hadn't had before: what happened and how to rebuild. It wasn't easy to recover. Because of his injuries, he couldn't work at the mine, and the mental effects lasted long after he got out of the hospital. Even if it meant going more slowly, Parker was motivated to get back on his feet. Gold Rush fans saw a different Parker when he came back. He was more careful and understood how dangerous his job was. The worker, who used to be very aggressive, was now acting more slowly and carefully. Parker's close call with death made Gold Rush fans talk about something important. A lot of people started to wonder what it means to be moral when reality TV shows push stars to their limits for entertainment and ratings. Was the cost of these terrible events too high? Was Parker's life worth the scary parts on the screen? People who watched the show expressed worries and asked that it be more careful about how it films. Parker became more aware of these pressures after what happened. It made him wonder if the style of the show sometimes pushed him further than he was willing to go. This is the bad side of gold digging. The recent close call with death of Parker is a sobering warning of the bad things that can happen in gold mining. Working as a miner is very dangerous because the ground can collapse at any time, and the weather can be very bad. Some people, like Parker, are driven by the thrill of the hunt and the hope of getting rich, but the job is hard on the mind and the body. A lot of the time, miners work long hours in remote areas, away from any medical help. The constant push to meet production goals makes things even more dangerous, making it a high-stakes game where mistakes can be fatal. This collapse was a harsh warning for Parker that no amount of experience can fully protect miners from the unpredictable risks they face every day. Parker couldn't have been more focused before the crash. It was all about the gold. But as he lay in that hospital bed, his mind changed. things that were important to him like his health, his life, and the people he loved became even more important. He hadn't seen things that way before, and he knew he couldn't change his mind. Parker isn't ready to give up on his mining dreams just yet. It's likely that every dollar I spend here goes 5 times farther than in Alaska. Gold doesn't care if it comes from Alaska, Bolivia, the ocean, or the moon. Not at all. But it does mean that he's becoming more careful with those thoughts. He's becoming more aware that not all risks are worth it, even if the reward is big. Getting a balance. Parker thought a lot about his life and his goals in the months after the accident. Having desire had always been important to him, but now he knew that going after his dreams didn't mean risking everything. He said, "My goals are important, but being smarter about how I reach them is even more important." Parker worked hard to find a balance in his life, so that he could follow his love without putting his life or the safety of his crew at risk. It was a new task that would see how well he could change and grow. Where does Parker go from here? Gold Rush fans are still not sure what Parker will do next. Will he keep pushing himself and his team as hard as he did before, or will he back off and make sure everyone stays safe? He's different now because of the accident, but time will tell if he's ready to slow down or keep going after more. One thing is for sure, Parker is a driven person. He's been through tough situations before, and this one is no different. His fans know he won't give up easily, but they're keeping a close eye on him, to see if he'll go into his next season with the same unwavering drive, or with more care. The last question, does Parker's most recent close call with death happen a lot when you mine gold? Is there something more going on? Porter is the only one who can answer that. Everything feels really strange. It's been 5 years since we last had a big job, and now we have one. I should be excited. His fans will be there to watch him go, eager to see if he can stay safe and still follow his love. Will Parker Schnabel keep looking for gold over and over again, or will he finally understand that he needs to stay within certain limits? Time will tell. Parker's fresh way of digging. After a close call, Parker has changed his mind about going back to the mine site. He isn't just thinking about making money and making a lot of products anymore. Since then, his main goal has been to make sure that safety is an important part of his business. This means that Parker has to slow down, carefully consider each step, and put the health and happiness of his team ahead of quick success. This is a new part of Parker that his crew has seen before. They have always admired how hard he works. He knows what's at stake because he's been to the edge and back again, which makes him a better leader. Dealing with death. Parker's quest to understand himself. Park Schnabel was known for years as the brave miner, who would do anything to find gold. He never gave up. His drive came from ambition, and a wish to carry on his family's traditions. But after the accident, he began to doubt everything he thought he knew about himself. Parker faced a part of himself he hadn't often seen: his weakness. In the hospital's quiet, alone setting, as Parker lay in bed, his body hurt and beaten, he had to face the truth of his own death, which he had been able to avoid for most of his career. There were times when he pushed himself and his team to their limits. He thought about how close he was to giving up everything. He used to think that gold and success were worth any cost, but now he was wondering if his desire for them had made him blind. He thought about the people in his life, especially his family and his team. These were the people who believed in him, helped him, and were there for him no matter what. He only needs 174 ounces to reach his season goal of 7,000 ounces, but since the money pit gives out big gold, it could give out a lot more. He had never thought about how his actions might affect them though. This close call was about more than just his life. It was about how his choices affected the people around him. Parker thought more about himself. In the days after the injury, the accident wasn't just bad for my body, it also made me think and feel differently. He understood that he couldn't keep pushing himself without thinking about what would happen. Not only was this about gold mining, but it was also about finding value in life beyond money and success. For the first time, he asked himself what he really wanted to leave behind. He thought back to the stories his grandfather had told him. There are stories about people who worked hard, cared about the land and loved the process. His grandfather made him love mining, but he also showed him how important it is to keep things in balance. Parker began to wonder if he had forgotten those lessons in his relentless search for more money, fame and respect. As he got better, Parker promised to change how he did things. It wasn't just about being careful at work, it had to do with accepting a new way of thinking. He understood that being truly strong meant not avoiding pain or fear, but instead facing them head-on and growing from them. Mining would always be a part of his life, but he wanted to do it in a way that respected both his grandfather's heritage and his new way of looking at things. Parker knew that from now on he would dig with a goal. He would still take risks, but they would be well thought out ones that took into account how they would affect him and his team. He realized for the first time that his worth wasn't based on how much gold he found or how famous he became, but on how honestly and respectfully he did his work. He was clearer and had a stronger sense of purpose after this experience. Parker had faced death and found a way to live that was more in line with his values. The gold would still be there, but Parker now had something more valuable, a promise to live a life that meant something to him and to the people who believed in him. What effect it had on his crew. Parker's accident not only shocked him, but it also changed his team in a way that will last. He is both their boss and their mentor, and these men and women depend on him. Though they've seen him deal with problems season after season, this event made them all face the dangers of their job. Many people on the team changed their minds when they saw Parker in such a weak state. They knew that if Parker, who had been through a lot, could handle something so dangerous, then none of them could. The crew's bonds were strengthened by this shared experience. They are now a more cautious, cohesive group that is pushed by a shared sense of duty. Taking into account that you guys built it all from scratch. Not at all. I'm just amazed. Parks has always seen mine as more than just a job. It's a gift. Parker grew up hearing stories about his grandfather's work as a miner. He has always wanted to honor that tradition by making a name for himself, but the accident made him think again about what it means to leave a legacy. Is it about getting gold and becoming rich, or is it about something greater that has an effect that lasts longer than material gains? Parker is now thinking about these things because he knows that his impact might be about more than just the gold he finds. It might be about the lives he changes, having to deal with the stress of reality TV. The world of reality TV makes things even more difficult. Gold Rush and other shows like it, love drama and high stakes, but Parker's accident has made him think about how much he's willing to give up for fun. Even though he likes the stage Gold Rush gives him, he can see how the show pushes miners to their limits for ratings. Parker's incident has made his fans talk about the morals of reality TV. Some watchers want more information to be shared about the risks teens and young adults face. Parker has realized that the show has made him famous, but it has also put him in danger in ways he might not have taken otherwise. But go back to the basics. Because of the time he almost died, Parker has started to change how he mines. He's not focused on constantly growing. Instead, he's making sure that his operations are safe, sustainable, and in line with the values that drew him to the business in the first place. No longer does he need to get gold at all costs. He really wants to do things the right way. Parker needs to keep his business smaller and more focused, so he can keep an eye on quality and safety, instead of always going after bigger, risky projects. The mental damage that digging does, besides the bodily harm, the accident has had a huge effect on my mental health. Mining has always been a tough job for the mind because of the long hours, remote places, and constant danger. But this event has made Parker more aware of how hard it is on the mind to think about death. Parker has started to raise knowledge about mental health issues among his team by telling them to take breaks and watch out for each other. He's been talking more about how important mental toughness is because he knows that in the world of mines, mental toughness is just as important as physical toughness. How ambitious you can be. Parker has always been driven, but his accident made him realize what that drive cost him. He's starting to understand that pushing himself and his team all the time might have had effects they didn't mean for. Because of this, he takes a more balanced approach, knowing that success doesn't have to mean putting his own or his crew's health at risk. Diego, what's going on? He wants us to go to a different place where they work on the Mercury. That's really cool. He's also learned that being a real leader means knowing when to back off, when to protect,
and when to put people's lives ahead of making money. Parker is now trying to show others that ambition and duty can live together. Parker is aware that his fans are paying close attention and are excited to see what he does next. He knows that younger people and people who want to try new things look up to him, but he wants them to know that there's a bad side to his job that isn't always shown on TV. Parker shared his thoughts on the risks of his job with fans in a rare moment of openness. He also warned other people who want to be kids to be careful. He is aware that what he says has power, and he hopes that his story will help others remember that no amount of gold is worth a life, a fresh start. Parker is still very interested in mining, but his near-death experience has opened a new stage in his life. He's set on continuing to mine, but this time he's more committed than ever to safety, duty, and balance. This isn't the end for Parker. It's a change. His love for mining and respect for how unexpected the job is have come together in a way that works for him. As he thinks about the future, he wants to protect his dream and his team more than ever. Parker Schnabel is still as driven as ever, but his goal has changed. This accident made him remember that there's more to gold digging than just the prize at the end. It's about the trip, the people he's with, and the duty he has to carry. Gold Rush fans can expect Parker to become a smarter and more grounded miner who is still willing to take risks, but also knows how important it is to take a step back, think about what's important, and protect it.